Welcome to the Law Offices of Chris M. Ingram podcast. We have another U.S. immigration news roundup for June 23rd through the 29th. Before we get started, we would like to acknowledge attorney Chris Ingram and his dedicated legal team. They did a great job researching and preparing this material for us, and they would love to work with you. Disclaimer, please note that this podcast should not be regarded as providing legal advice specific to your situation. If you'd like to book a free consultation, please visit www.breakthroughUSA.com. We are thrilled to be able to present this topic for you today. All right, let's embark on today's deep dive. We're going to set the stage for what has been an incredibly dynamic and frankly quite challenging week in the world of U.S. immigration policy. Our focus today is going to be squarely on the critical developments that unfolded between June 22nd and June 29th, 2025. And what's really driving all of this, what's serving as the constant undercurrent shaping these events are the stringent enforcement measures and crucially the trade policies initiated by the Trump administration. It's a complex interplay, and we're here to help you navigate it.
That's a vital point to emphasize. It's absolutely crucial to understand that these aren't just, isolated policy shifts or minor adjustments in bureaucratic processes. These changes are profoundly reshaping the lives of immigrants across the country, creating immense uncertainty and very real human impact. But beyond that, they're sending significant shockwaves through American businesses, reverberating through, every corner of our economy. We're talking about everything from small, multi-generational family farms that rely heavily on seasonal labor, all the way up to the leading tech giants that depend on global talent for their innovation pipelines. The sheer scale and breadth of this impact are truly vast.
That broad impact is what we really want to explore today. When you look at the combined effect of these policies, it paints a very intricate and at times a concerning picture. First, our team's research highlights the tightened visa scrutiny. This isn't a small tweak to an application form. It's fundamentally altering who can even enter and work in the U.S., making it increasingly difficult for highly qualified individuals to get through the door. Then there's the intensified focus on deportations, which of course has immediate human consequences, separating families and communities. But it also carries a significant economic fallout, as it leads to a shrinking immigrant workforce in key sectors that rely on them.
And we really can't discuss this without bringing in the trade component. Our researchers detail proposed tariffs on key trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and China. While the stated intention might be, to protect domestic industries or bring jobs back, the unintended effects on the broader economy are proving quite dramatic and far-reaching. It's a classic example of how policy in one area can ripple unexpectedly into another, with widespread consequences.
Precisely. The outcome of all these interlocking policies, as our team has observed, is a volatile and unpredictable economic landscape. You can see it quite clearly in the surging inflation we're experiencing. We're all feeling it, whether it's at the grocery store with rising food costs that make our weekly budget stretch further, or when we're budgeting for everyday items that seem to get more expensive every month. It's a very visible and, tangible impact on daily life.
And beyond inflation, which is certainly pressing, our team's findings point to significant labor shortages emerging across the board. These policies are creating substantial gaps in crucial industries that have historically relied heavily on immigrant labor. When you can't find enough workers to fill essential roles, it means businesses either can't operate at full capacity, leading to reduced output, or they have to pay significantly more for the labor they can find, increasing their operational costs.
Which naturally leads to higher business costs. When you connect the dots between those labor shortages and the tariffs we just mentioned, you see operational expenses for businesses going up across the board. This isn't just a minor increase. It creates an atmosphere of a deep uncertainty for industries, making it incredibly difficult for businesses to plan for the future, make long-term investments, or even predict their quarterly earnings. They simply don't know what the landscape will look like in 6 months or a year, and that unpredictability is a significant hurdle.
Yeah, that uncertainty is key. And what's truly fascinating here and quite telling is that our legal team has already observed initial glimpses of what this means for application volumes within the immigration system itself. They've noted a tangible decline in immigration application volumes, specifically highlighting a concerning trend in those for STEM professionals. This isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's a canary in the coal mine, signaling potential long-term issues.
It absolutely is, and it hints at very serious long-term implications for U.S. innovation and our global competitiveness, especially when you consider the vital role STEM fields play in today's knowledge-based economy. Before we dive even deeper, I want to reiterate that our legal team at the law offices of Chris M. Ingram has provided this comprehensive view, drawing from sentiments expressed by senior figures and insights gathered over recent months. This reflects the ongoing debates and different perspectives swirling around these issues, and the research helps us cut through the noise.
And it's worth noting that the report from our attorneys cites the most recent available data, and we aim to provide you with the most current snapshot. We understand that some statistics, like specific workforce demographics from, say, 2020 to 2023, might be a few years old by the time they are formally compiled and published. However, they still serve as a crucial benchmark for understanding historical trends, the sheer scale of these ongoing issues, and the baseline against which we measure current changes. They provide that foundational understanding for where we are now and, well, where we might be headed.
Okay, so let's unpack this. This report truly dives deep into the profound economic impacts, the acute challenges with visas, and the urgent strategic need to retain vital STEM talent if the U.S. is to maintain its competitive edge in this rapidly evolving AI and digital age. We've set the stage, outlining the broad strokes of the current immigration and trade policies. Now, we need to really dig into the heart of the matter, the immediate economic disruption that's occurring and the specifics of the policies causing it. First, we need to grasp just how incredibly critical immigrants are to the very fabric of the U.S. workforce. Our researchers provide some truly eye-opening statistics here that underscore their indispensable role.
Indeed. What's genuinely fascinating here is how deeply integrated immigrants are into the very fabric of our economy, from the foundational labor on our farms to the cutting-edge innovation in our tech labs. For instance, in 2022, immigrants comprised 17.3% of the entire U.S. workforce. Think about that for a moment. That's nearly 1/5 of all working individuals in the country, a truly substantial and often underappreciated proportion of our economic engine.
1/5. That number alone is striking. But it's not just a general figure. When you break it down by sector, their presence becomes even more profoundly vital. Take agriculture, for example. Our attorneys found a staggering 40% of all farm workers are immigrants. Imagine the immense impact if that workforce were to suddenly drastically shrink. It would ripple through our food supply chain immediately.
Oh, absolutely. And their contributions extend far beyond manual labor. Our attorneys point out their significant and growing role in tech, with 17% of STEM workers in North Carolina alone being immigrants. This highlights their contributions across the entire economic spectrum, from foundational industries that put food on our tables to highly specialized, innovative fields that drive our future. It's a testament to their diverse and critical skills.
And it's not just about providing labor, it's about their substantial tax contributions. Our legal team quantified this for us, and the numbers are impressive. Immigrants contribute a staggering $79.7 billion annually in taxes, according to the American Immigration Council in 2023.
Right.
That's a massive financial contribution to our national and local economies, supporting everything from infrastructure to public services.
That figure alone absolutely underscores why any policy that reduces their presence or deters future immigration can have significant financial repercussions for the country as a whole. It's a direct and measurable economic input that fuels our prosperity.
Now let's pivot to the specific policies our team has identified and the economic ripples they're creating across the nation. It's not just a single change, but a combination of measures working in concert. First up, the intensified immigration enforcement. Our researchers noted that in November 2024, President-elect Trump announced plans for intensified enforcement, including more workplace raids and stricter visa scrutiny.
Right. And these measures are not indiscriminate or random. They are specifically designed to target industries that are heavily reliant on immigrant labor. Our team found reports showing this focused enforcement means sectors like agriculture, construction, and hospitality are feeling the pressure most acutely, often struggling to maintain adequate staffing levels.
Then we have the proposed trade tariffs. Our attorneys detailed a proposed 10% tariff on all countries and an even more significant 25% levy on goods coming from our neighbors, Canada and Mexico. The Peterson Institute for International Economics projected in 2024 that this alone could cost U.S. households an estimated $3,900 annually.
There are just too many visas out there, and I don't know which one is right for us. We need to get the right advice.
Communication is everything. And I just need someone who will listen and guide me to the right visa type and not make promises that they can't deliver.
There are so many documents. I need someone to walk me through each one. I can't afford to make any mistakes.
If I can just find a lawyer who understands my potential, I know America will be an excellent opportunity for me and my family.
Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, and we are your immigration lawyers, and we will be with you every step of the way in your immigration journey.
At the law office of Chris M. Ingram, you get a free consultation so we can understand your needs.
We don't make promises we can't keep. Our success rate speaks for itself.
Join us and access your step-by-step video guides that answer every visa question.
Their platform is amazing. There are videos that instruct you on everything you have to do. It meant we were in control and we could do it in our own time.
They couldn't have been more helpful. They answered every question that I had, and it was easy to see they were the lawyers for me.
I couldn't believe it with my busy schedule. They always had time to talk to me and put me at ease. That's what I like about them.
So go on our website and get your free consultation now, and your new life is about to begin.
Ask me.
We did it! We did it!
We did it!
Oh my God, I got my visa! Yes, I did it!
That's not a small sum for an average family.
No, it's certainly not. That is indeed a substantial burden on household budgets. And it directly connects to what you mentioned earlier about surging inflation. We're already feeling the pinch of rising prices on everyday goods, and these tariffs are projected to exacerbate that burden, making everything from imported components for our electronics to certain food items more expensive. It's a broad economic squeeze.
Absolutely. And it ties into the third point our team highlighted. Stricter visa criteria. Our legal team highlighted that USCIS has implemented stricter H-1B and optional practical training, or OPT, criteria. This isn't just about making it a bit harder to get a visa or slowing down processing times.
No, it's far more impactful than that. These changes specifically affect crucial STEM fields, which, as our researchers consistently point out, are absolutely critical for our national innovation and global competitiveness. When you make it harder for highly talented international students or professionals to come here, work in science, technology, engineering, and math, you directly impede our ability to innovate, develop new technologies, and compete on the global stage. It's this kind of self-inflicted wound to our future growth.
Here's where it gets really interesting and perhaps a bit stark. We're not just talking about abstract policy changes anymore, but the immediate tangible effects on businesses and consumers across the country. Let's look at some key developments our team has tracked. We've seen a significant surge in ICE workplace raids. Our researchers mentioned clear examples of targeted industries, specifically hospitality and construction, where these operations have been concentrated.
And the scale of enforcement is truly significant. Our team found reports mentioning a considerable number of arrests, which isn't just a statistic. It directly translates to workers being removed from their jobs, often quite abruptly, causing immediate and critical labor gaps for businesses. Imagine running a farm or a restaurant and suddenly losing a significant portion of your staff overnight. The disruption is immense.
And the impact on agriculture is particularly severe. Our attorneys found reports indicating this vital sector is facing up to 20% workforce reductions. Think about what that means in practical terms. Fewer hands to plant, cultivate, and harvest our food. The direct consequence for consumers is reduced crop yields and subsequently higher food prices at the grocery store. It directly affects our wallets and the cost of living.
This then leads us to inflation's growing grip on consumer spending. As tariffs drive up costs and labor shortages push up wages in some areas, our attorneys highlight that consumers have less disposable income for discretionary spending. This, in turn, creates a negative ripple effect on vital sectors like retail and services, as people simply buy less. It slows down the entire economic cycle, creating a downward pressure on growth.
And for immigrants themselves, the implications are profound. Our researchers found that there's a pervasive fear now, a genuine apprehension, which is actively deterring legal immigration. This isn't just anecdotal, there's concrete evidence to back it up. Our team found reports of a notable 15% drop in H-1B applications in 2024. That's a significant decline in potential talent, highly skilled individuals who might otherwise contribute to our economy.
For policymakers, this highlights an ongoing, incredibly difficult challenge. How do you effectively balance legitimate national security concerns with pressing economic needs? The two often appear to be at odds, and finding a harmonious, sustainable path that addresses both effectively is proving very elusive for lawmakers.
And for businesses, the threat to their profitability is very real and multifaceted. Labor shortages mean you either can't fulfill orders or you have to pay more for the labor you can find, significantly increasing your overhead. And escalating costs from tariffs directly eat into your profit margins. It's a squeeze from multiple directions, making sustainable operations much harder.
Exactly. And when we connect this to the bigger picture, it's clear these aren't isolated incidents or minor economic fluctuations. Our attorneys cite a projection from the Brookings Institution in 2024, estimating that reduced labor supply coupled with rising inflation could subtract a measurable 0.2% from U.S. GDP growth in 2025. While 0.2% might sound small, it's not insignificant when you're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar economy. These policies collectively create a negative feedback loop that impacts the entire economic engine.
That's a stark warning about real-world consequences. And it's not just economists sounding the alarm. We have some powerful voices weighing in from the business community. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, posted on X stating directly, and our team noted this, quote, H-1B visas are a great program for innovation. Restrictions hurt our ability to compete globally. He's speaking from direct, high-stakes experience in a tech company that relies on this global talent.
Right. Then you have Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Chase, who offered a more nuanced view, saying, immigration is a positive for America, but we also need to protect our borders. This shows the inherent complexity of the debate, even among influential business leaders who clearly recognize the economic benefits of immigration while also acknowledging national security concerns. It highlights the difficult balance.
And Rebecca Xu from the American Business Immigration Coalition, speaking to reporters, really emphasizes the urgency from the business community, saying, businesses are pleading for an end to the crackdown as it's disrupting their operations. End quote. That's a strong plea, indicating just how deeply and immediately these policies are impacting the day-to-day functions and profitability of companies across various sectors. This raises an important question that our team has explored. How are different parts of our economy weathering this storm? Are some sectors proving to be more immune or resilient than others? Because our attorneys' research shows that certain sectors like retail and finance, for example, are notably less affected compared to others we've discussed.
That's a critical distinction to make, and our researchers point to a couple of key reasons for this divergence. These sectors tend to rely more heavily on domestic labor pools, meaning U.S.-born workers constitute a larger proportion of their workforce. This inherently makes them less vulnerable to shifts in immigration policy. Additionally, and this is a significant factor, they've been quicker and more aggressive in adopting automation technologies, which can significantly reduce their overall need for human labor in certain roles.
So it's not just about who they hire, but how they structure their operations and leverage technology. Our researchers really highlight the stark concentration of immigrants in specific, more vulnerable sectors. They point out that immigrants are disproportionately concentrated in lower-wage, labor-intensive industries. For instance, a considerable 29% of construction workers and 26% of hospitality workers are immigrants, according to the data our team reviewed. This inherent reliance makes these industries far more vulnerable when immigration policies tighten or enforcement escalates.
Exactly. And it's also important to note the nuance even within seemingly resilient sectors like tech. Our attorneys highlight that tech giants like Google, while still significant employers of foreign talent, employed approximately 8,000 H-1B visa holders in 2020. This is a substantial number, of course, but it contrasts with outsourcing firms like Infosys, which had over 13,000 H-1B approvals in the same year based on USCIS data our team found. This illustrates varying degrees of reliance, with some firms having more robust domestic talent pipelines or simply different business models that make them less sensitive to immigration shifts.
So, digging deeper into this resilience, our attorneys note that retail giants like Walmart and finance firms like JP Chase are indeed reporting minimal disruption to their operations or staffing levels. They're maintaining stability precisely because they can lean on that larger pool of U.S.-born workers and strategically implement advanced automation to meet their labor needs. Our team found reports supporting this adaptation.
However, even for these seemingly resilient sectors, the proposed tariffs pose a pervasive and universal challenge. Our researchers explain that these tariffs are not just impacting specific imported goods, they are increasing costs across the board, affecting entire supply chains. This isn't just about finished products, it's about the raw materials, components, and even the machinery used to produce goods domestically. Ultimately, this leads to higher consumer prices for all goods, not just those directly tied to vulnerable, labor-intensive sectors. Our team saw evidence of this broad impact.
So while some sectors are weathering the labor shortage storm better than others, the tariff storm is truly affecting everyone. Looking at the key developments in economic dynamics, our team observes that retail and finance continue to maintain their equilibrium largely through that strategic adoption of automation, effectively reducing their labor needs in many areas and relying on domestic labor.
But this contrasts sharply with the ongoing crisis for agriculture and hospitality. These sectors are still grappling with significant workforce reductions, sometimes as high as 20%, due to increased deportations, according to reports our team analyzed. It's a direct, severe, and immediate impact that threatens their very ability to operate efficiently.
And here's the kicker, the point our attorneys emphasize. While some sectors might demonstrate resilience to labor shortages due to their operational structure, the proposed tariffs could still totally negate this resilience. Why? Because they universally raise consumer prices, as the Peterson Institute for International Economics projected in 2024. So a company might have enough workers, but if their costs go up too much because of tariffs, their profitability is still very much at risk, and consumers feel the pinch in every purchase, regardless of the sector.
This has several interconnected implications. For immigrants, it means reduced opportunities in certain industries, which naturally deters new applications and narrows the overall pathways for immigrants seeking to work in the U.S. It limits their options. For policymakers, it really solidifies the contentious dilemma they face in trying to balance urgent economic needs with strict enforcement mandates. It's a very difficult tightrope walk, and consensus on a clear path forward remains elusive.
And for businesses, even the resilient ones, while they might maintain stability on the labor front, they still face that looming threat of tariff-driven costs impacting their bottom line and overall profitability. It's a persistent cloud over their operations, creating a continuous need for adaptation.
Economically, our researchers note that while stable sectors certainly contribute to overall growth and help keep the economy ticking, the pervasive inflation that's being driven by these tariffs and other factors could significantly erode those gains for the broader economy. It's a constant battle against rising costs that could offset any sector-specific stability.
And when we talk about innovation in our country's future, Alejandro Gutierrez-Lee, an economist, provided a really insightful perspective our team found. He stated that North Carolina's STEM sector relies on 17% immigrant workers. Visa restrictions could hurt innovation. This reinforces the broader impact beyond just those traditionally labor-intensive industries. It goes right to the heart of our country's capacity for future innovation and global leadership.
Which leads us perfectly into the next critical area.
USCIS is cracking down on visa fraud, and even approved cases are being revoked.
Why was my visa denied? USCIS revoked my approval. At the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, we handle every detail with care. Every form, every fact, every time.
So join us for a free consultation. We do things the right way. Let us take care of you.
So what does this all mean for America's competitive edge in the global arena, especially in critical areas like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and other cutting-edge technologies? Because our attorneys' research shows that the combination of visa crackdowns and persistent green card backlogs are delivering a significant, almost strategic blow to our nation's STEM talent pipeline.
That's precisely the core concern. The U.S. has historically, and quite successfully, relied on immigrant talent in STEM fields, science, technology, engineering, and math to fuel its innovation engine. These areas are undeniably crucial for U.S. innovation, economic growth, and our future prosperity. Our researchers underscore this by pointing out that in 2023, a significant 17% of North Carolina's STEM workforce comprised immigrants, based on the data they reviewed. That's a measurable reliance.
That's a significant percentage for just one state, reflecting a broader national reliance that extends across research institutions, tech hubs, and emerging industries. To understand the challenges more deeply, we need to quickly walk through some key visa mechanisms that are central to this discussion, starting with the H-1B visa.
Okay. The H-1B visa is specifically designed to allow U.S. companies to hire foreign workers in what are termed specialty occupations. These are typically professional roles requiring at least a bachelor's degree in a specialized field. The visa can last for up to 6 years, and it's absolutely vital for the tech industry, which often struggles to find enough domestic talent to fill highly specialized and in-demand roles, especially those requiring cutting-edge skills.
And then, to transition to permanent residency, many of these H-1B holders, particularly from countries like India and China, pursue green card categories, specifically the employment-based ones. Our attorneys break these down into three main types, each with different qualifications.
Yes. There's the EB3 category, generally for those with a bachelor's degree or an associate degree requiring 2 years of college experience and certain skilled workers. Then you have the EB2, which is for individuals with advanced degrees, like a master's, a PhD, or a bachelor's degree combined with at least 5 years of progressive experience in their field. And finally, the EB1 category, which is reserved for individuals at the very top of their field demonstrating extraordinary ability. Our attorneys note that most U.S. employers sponsor their H-1B employees for the EB2 due to their advanced qualifications and experience.
And here's where a major, often frustrating systemic issue comes into play: the challenge of per-country caps. Our researchers explain that Indian and Chinese nationals, because their countries have such massive populations, face disproportionately significant backlogs due to these caps. It's a stark contrast to applicants from smaller countries, who often face no backlog at all, despite meeting equally strict criteria. It creates an uneven playing field based on nationality, not merit. It's problematic.
It really is. And the sheer scale of this problem for Indian nationals in the EB2 category is truly staggering. Our attorneys report that approximately 308,481 Indian nationals with approved EB2 I-140 petitions were awaiting green cards in 2023, according to data they analyzed. The grim reality for these highly qualified individuals is that they're facing wait times that can easily exceed 10 years and for some, potentially decades.
10 years or more. That's essentially a decade or even two of uncertainty and professional limbo. And our legal team emphasizes that U.S. businesses simply cannot afford to lose this talent. These are the individuals who drive innovation, contribute to cutting-edge research and development, and fuel economic growth. Waiting that long means many will inevitably look elsewhere for opportunities, taking their valuable skills with them.
Absolutely. And before we delve into potential solutions, let's touch on another crucial pipeline for talent: the Optional Practical Training, or OPT, program. This program allows F1 students, international students who've completed their degrees here in the U.S., to work post-graduation. For those in STEM fields, it can extend up to 36 months. As our team confirmed through USCIS guidance from 2023, it's an incredibly important bridge.
It truly is.
Yeah.
It serves as a crucial pipeline for talent, allowing these highly educated students to gain practical experience in their fields, contribute to U.S. companies, and often transition into H-1B visas, and eventually, if it can navigate the system, permanent residency. It's a bridge from education to innovation.
Yeah. So this whole discussion raises a profound question about how we as a nation can effectively retain our top talent when the very immigration system itself creates such significant and often seemingly insurmountable hurdles. The EB1 category, as our researchers explain, offers a vital and strategic workaround for highly qualified individuals who meet very specific criteria.
And that leads us directly to a very important solution that our attorneys, the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, are actively providing. They're helping STEM leaders, those highly qualified individuals we just discussed, transition to the faster EB1 green card option. This can truly be a game changer for many who are stuck in those multi-year backlogs.
Indeed. The EB1 category is specifically designed for individuals of extraordinary ability. This isn't just a vague term for being good at your job. It entails meeting very specific and rigorous requirements. This could mean having received major international awards, like Nobel Prizes, or meeting at least 3 of 10 very specific criteria. These criteria can include things like published material in professional journals, original scientific contributions of major significance to their field, or holding leadership roles in distinguished organizations. It's genuinely for the very elite in their respective fields.
And the key benefit here, the reason it's such a powerful option, is the speed. Our attorneys note that the EB1 typically takes a much shorter 2 to 4 years to process, compared to that agonizing 10-year-plus wait for EB2 Indian nationals. But here's where it gets even more fascinating and strategic: priority date transfers.
Yes. This is truly a crucial element. For those Indian nationals who have already waited longer than, say, 2 to 4 years in that agonizing EB2 queue, our legal team explains they can often transfer their existing priority date to the EB1 category. What this means in practice is that they effectively move to the front of the EB1 line, and if they meet the rigorous extraordinary ability criteria, they can secure green card approvals in a matter of months rather than years or decades. This is a critical, often overlooked pathway for top talent to achieve permanent residency in the U.S. Our team emphasizes its importance.
That's truly incredible. It's like a strategic shortcut for those who qualify. So let's bring all this together and look at the key developments and their broader implications for the STEM pipeline and our nation's innovative capacity. First, we're seeing stricter H-1B and OPT criteria. Our researchers reinforce that USCIS implemented these changes in 2024, directly increasing the risk of denials for STEM applicants, according to reports they analyzed. This makes the path to entry much harder.
And this has a direct chilling effect on application volumes. H-1B application volumes dropped by a notable 15% in 2024. Furthermore, international student enrollment across U.S. universities fell by 11% in 2024, largely due to persistent visa uncertainties, as our team found reported. These are the vital pipelines for future STEM talent that are being actively curtailed, essentially narrowing the pool of brilliant minds we attract.
And then, the massive backlog we discussed, that nearly overwhelming number. Our attorneys remind us that over 1.2 million Indians, including those 308,481 existents at the EB2 category, are stuck in employment-based green card backlogs as of November 2023, according to the data. That's a staggering number of highly educated, skilled individuals who are simply waiting, often with their professional lives on hold.
And these policy impacts extend to stricter H-1B wage thresholds and more rigid definitions of what constitutes a specialty occupation. These changes are directly impacting tech firms, making it harder for them to justify hiring foreign talent, even when that talent is precisely what they need to innovate.
And the global competition aspect here is huge. Our researchers note that OPT restrictions, coupled with the backlogs, are actively deterring international students. They're not just giving up, they're pivoting towards other welcoming countries like Canada and the UK, which are actively recruiting this talent with more straightforward immigration pathways. We're essentially training them in our universities and then, due to our own policies, sending them to our direct competitors. It seems counterproductive.
It really does. The implications of all this are becoming incredibly clear. For immigrants, particularly STEM professionals, they face significant and often demoralizing barriers. But as attorney Chris M. Ingram's team explains, the EB-1 does offer a crucial, faster path for truly qualified leaders who meet its extraordinary criteria.
For policymakers, these extensive backlogs and the resulting talent drain really underscore the urgent need for comprehensive immigration reform, particularly in areas like increasing visa caps. The current system is simply not keeping pace with the demand for talent in a globally competitive landscape.
For businesses, the direct consequence is talent shortages, which in turn directly threaten innovation, stifle research and development, and ultimately compromise our nation's global competitiveness. This isn't just about losing a few employees, it's about losing the very minds that drive our economy forward and create future industries.
And the economic impact is immense. Our attorneys emphasize that the loss of this critical STEM talent due to these policies and backlogs could cost the U.S. billions in GDP. This isn't theoretical. It's a measurable economic hit that affects all of us.
Some notable voices are speaking out on this global issue. Simon Marginson, an Oxford professor, was quoted saying, "International education has sustained the STEM areas, physics, chemistry, engineering, and math." Our team noted this highlights the international consensus on the importance of global talent in these foundational fields.
And from our own attorney, Chris M. Ingram, he offers direct guidance, stating, and I quote from our team's notes, "The EB-1 is self-sponsored and requires the highest levels of achievement, but for STEM leaders, it's a faster path to permanent residency." This is direct, actionable advice for those highly qualified individuals struggling with a stalled system.
And Varun Singh from IFES Immigration really drives home the systemic issue, stating, "The green card backlog is a direct result of outdated country-specific quotas. The system allots the same number of green cards to India as to countries with far fewer applicants. This exposes the fundamental structural flaw in the current system that exacerbates these backlogs for some of our most critical talent pools."
All right, now let's shift gears slightly and look at the broader public sentiment around these policies and then dive into a specific humanitarian concern, the challenges facing temporary protected status, or TPS, for Haitians. Because when we talk about U.S. immigration, public opinion is undeniably, and perhaps more than ever, deeply polarized.
That's very true. Our researchers explain that this polarization is often directly connected to economic concerns like rising prices, which significantly influence how the public views immigration policy. While immigrants contribute significantly, we mentioned that nearly $80 billion annually in taxes policies can still create localized strains on public services or local job markets, which then fuels debate and division.
And the numbers from our team bear this out. Our attorneys cite a YouGov poll from 2024, which found that 44% of respondents approved of Trump's immigration policies, while a slightly higher 49% disapproved. This reflects those partisan divides quite clearly and, in turn, creates uncertainty for businesses trying to navigate this landscape. It's worth noting a specific detail from that poll. 56% supported border wall expansion, highlighting a particular focus within the broader debate.
Yeah, that partisan divide is particularly stark when we look at the key developments in public sentiment. The YouGov poll showed that Republicans, at a remarkable 80%, overwhelmingly support Trump's policies, while Democrats, at a nearly mirror image of 85%, largely oppose them. There's very little, if any, middle ground to be found when looking at the two major parties.
And even among independent voters, our researchers found their split right down the middle, with 40% favoring stricter enforcement and another 40% unsure, indicating a lack of clear consensus even outside of partisan lines.
Feeling lost in a maze of visa types and paperwork? Don't know where to turn? We've got your back. With clear answers and real help, we'll guide you every step of the way. Let's navigate it together. Your journey starts today.
Hello, you must be Clara. Welcome to the law office of Chris M. Ingram.
Finally, I found a law firm that will help me achieve my American dream.
At this law firm, you are important to us. That's why we will be with you every step of the way. So join us at the office of Chris M. Ingram.
That kind of profound division makes it incredibly difficult for any clear, unified path forward in policymaking. And our team reiterates how broad economic uncertainty stemming from both tariffs and immigration policies directly impacts consumer spending, which of course affects business stability across the board.
The implications of this public division are significant across multiple fronts. For immigrants themselves, this pervasive polarization intensifies fear and apprehension, which can actively deter new applications and limit their engagement with the system, even for those who might qualify for legal pathways.
For policymakers, it means that truly bipartisan reform remains an incredibly elusive goal. When public opinion is so sharply divided, finding common ground and building consensus in Congress becomes an almost insurmountable challenge, leading to policy gridlock.
And for businesses, this deeply divided public sentiment complicates not only their hiring decisions, but also their broader investment strategies. They're operating in an environment where the regulatory rules and the public's acceptance of those rules can shift dramatically with each election cycle.
And the economic impact of this uncertainty is clear. Reduced consumer spending directly impacts retail and service sectors, further exacerbating the challenges we discussed earlier, creating a drag on economic activity.
We have some important voices here that reflect these divisions. Hayes Brown, an MSNBC opinion writer, was quoted saying, "Whenever the spotlight is on the cruelty of Trump's deportation campaign, Americans like his policies less." Our team noted this highlights a potential shift in sentiment when the human aspect becomes visible.
And to really represent the spectrum of views, our researchers included general quotes from voters. A typical Republican voter perspective might be something like, "Trump is protecting our economy by prioritizing American workers." This perspective clearly shows a focus on domestic economic concerns.
Right. While a Democratic voter might argue, these policies are tearing families apart and hurting businesses. This emphasizes the social and broader economic costs, focusing on the human impact and the disruption to established economic structures. It's a very clear divide in perspective.
Now let's turn to a very specific and incredibly pressing humanitarian and economic concern that our team has highlighted: the TPS challenges for Haitians. To fully understand the gravity of this situation, we first need to define temporary protected status, or TPS, for those unfamiliar with the program.
Okay. TPS is a humanitarian program established under the Immigration Act of 1990. Its core purpose is to allow nationals of designated countries to live and work in the U.S. temporarily when it's deemed unsafe for them to return home. This unsafety can be due to armed conflict, natural or environmental disasters, or other extraordinary and temporary conditions. Crucially, it grants beneficiaries protection from deportation and provides them with work authorization.
And Haiti has had this designation since the devastating 2010 earthquake that ravaged the country, with extensions granted multiple times since then due to ongoing instability and humanitarian crises. What our attorneys stress is that these TPS holders aren't just temporary visitors. They are deeply integrated into U.S. communities. They have jobs, they pay taxes, they own homes, and they have built families and lives here over more than a decade. If these protections end, it could lead to severe, profound disruption, not just for them, but for the communities and industries they're part of. This brings us to the current review, and its immense scale. Our legal team indicates that in January 2025, the Trump administration signaled clear plans to review TPS designations, which immediately raised immense concerns about potential terminations for approximately 200,000 Haitians. Think about that number. 200,000 people whose lives, families, and livelihoods could be upended by a single policy decision. That's a massive human impact. And this isn't just about individual lives. It has significant economic vulnerability tied to it. Our researchers note that in Florida, for instance, Haitians with TPS are absolutely integral to the healthcare, hospitality, and construction sectors, making up a significant portion of the workforce in those areas. A termination of their status could lead to very significant and immediate labor shortages in these vital industries within the state, impacting services for everyone.
As for the details of the event, DHS is actively reviewing these TPS designations, with potential termination for Haitians projected for late 2025, according to reports our team reviewed. Human rights groups like Amnesty International are vehemently arguing that Haiti's current situation, marked by severe gang violence, political instability, and lack of basic services, makes any forced returns incredibly unsafe, potentially a matter of life and death for many.
And the public response has been palpable, reflecting deep humanitarian concern. Affected Haitians and their advocates are facing profound uncertainty, which has already prompted emotionally charged protests in cities with large Haitian communities, like Florida and New York. Their lives are hanging in the balance, and they are making their voices heard.
Looking at key developments, advocacy groups are not standing idly by. Our team notes they are actively preparing lawsuits to challenge any potential terminations. This signals that legal battles are very likely on the horizon, adding another layer of complexity and uncertainty.
And our attorneys point out that this review for Haiti follows similar scrutiny of TPS for other countries, indicating a broader governmental rollback of such protections. It's not an isolated case for Haiti. It appears to be part of a larger strategy to reevaluate and potentially terminate these long-standing humanitarian statuses.
Critically for businesses, those in vital sectors like healthcare and hospitality are already anticipating severe labor shortages if TPS protections for Haitians do, in fact, end. They are preparing for a significant disruption to their workforce, which could impact service quality and accessibility for the wider public.
The implications here are incredibly layered and far-reaching. For immigrants, the risk is tragic family separation and forced return to a highly volatile Haiti, where, as Marie-Pierre warned, conditions are incredibly dangerous, controlled by gangs, and lacking a functional government.
For policymakers, this move puts intense pressure on Congress to find permanent legislative solutions. TPS was always meant to be temporary, but for many, it has become a long-term reality. Relying on temporary reprieves is unsustainable, and a comprehensive political solution is desperately needed.
And for businesses, especially in hospitality and healthcare, the potential labor shortages could drastically increase operating costs, potentially impacting the quality and availability of services for all consumers, not just those directly involved.
Economically, the loss of these TPS workers could significantly reduce local economic activity, particularly impacting states like Florida, where Haitian communities are deeply embedded in the workforce and contribute substantially to local economies. It's not just a humanitarian issue, it's an economic one, too.
And the voices on this topic are incredibly powerful, showing the deep human stakes involved. Marie-Pierre, a Haitian-American activist, was quoted delivering a truly stark warning. Haiti is not safe. Gangs control the streets, and there's no functioning government. Ending TPS would be a death sentence for many. Our team noted this really conveys the immediate human stakes.
On the other side, Sean Hannity, a Fox News host, expressed a contrasting viewpoint, stating, "This is about restoring order and prioritizing American citizens. TPS was never meant to be permanent, and it's time to enforce the law." This perspective emphasizes legal and national sovereignty arguments.
And Senator Cory Booker, a Democrat, offered a critical political perspective, saying, "This decision is cruel and short-sighted. These are people who have contributed to our country for years, and we're turning our backs on them." These differing viewpoints really highlight the deep divisions and moral dilemmas surrounding this complex issue.
It's incredibly complex.
As we bring our deep dive to a close today, it's essential to synthesize the critical challenges that have emerged from the immigration developments between June 22nd and June 29th, 2025. What our legal team's comprehensive research underscores is a truly critical and multifaceted challenge for U.S. businesses, for the overall economy, and ultimately for our global competitiveness in the years to come.
We've seen how the Trump administration's stringent immigration policies, from tightened visa scrutiny and increased deportations to the ongoing TPS reviews for some 200,000 Haitians, are actively creating a volatile and uncertain economic environment. These aren't just abstract policies being debated in Washington. They have direct, tangible, and often immediate effects on businesses and individuals across the country.
Absolutely. And these measures, compounded by the proposed tariffs on key trading partners like Canada, Mexico, and China, are driving up costs across the board, exacerbating labor shortages in critical sectors, and perhaps most strategically damaging, stifling crucial STEM innovation that is vital for our future. It's a multi-pronged impact that creates a significant economic headwind.
Specifically, we delved into how sectors like agriculture and hospitality are facing significant workforce reductions. Our attorneys highlighted that California's farms risk notably reduced yields, which will directly impact our food supply and prices. And Texas's construction industry could face substantial delays and increased costs due to persistent labor shortages. Furthermore, in Florida, the healthcare and hospitality sectors are bracing for significant disruptions from the potential termination of TPS, potentially impacting the quality and availability of essential services.
And then there's the tech sector, which is absolutely vital for the AI and digital age we live in, the engine of our future economy. Our researchers highlighted how this sector is profoundly grappling with a measurable 15% drop in H-1B applications in 2024 and the severe EB-2 backlogs affecting those 308,481 Indian nationals who are facing wait times that can exceed 10 years. Based on the 2023 data. That's a massive drain on potential innovation and a clear disincentive for top global talent.
However, amidst these challenges, we also discussed a vital pathway and solution. Our attorneys, the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, are actively helping highly qualified STEM leaders secure faster EB-1 green cards, utilizing the strategic option of priority date transfers. This allows these exceptional individuals to potentially enable approvals in a matter of months, offering a glimmer of hope and a practical solution within the existing system for those at the top of their fields.
But the systemic issue, as our legal team has made abundantly clear, remains the chronic backlog for Indian nationals, which is largely driven by that outdated 7% per country limit on green cards. This unfortunate reality is directly pushing vital talent away from American shores and towards welcoming countries like Canada and the UK, who are actively rolling out the red carpet for these skilled professionals.
As Varun Singh so pointedly stated, and it bears repeating, the system allots the same number of green cards to India as to countries with far fewer applicants. This highlights the inherent unfairness and fundamental inefficiency of the current structure, which is actively harming our competitive advantage.
This outflow of talent directly threatens U.S. leadership in innovation, future investment, and our overall economic growth trajectory. Economists are already sounding the alarm bells. Our attorneys cited the Brookings Institution's 2024 projection that reduced immigration could subtract a measurable 0.2% from U.S. GDP growth in 2025. That's a significant quantifiable impact on our economic health and future prosperity.
Beyond the stark economic figures, we must always remember the profound human and political dimensions. Public opinion remains deeply polarized, as our team found in the YouGov poll, with 44% approving and 49% disapproving of Trump's policies in 2024. This deep division not only complicates policymaking, but also affects business decisions and, indeed, the social cohesion within our communities.
And the human toll is significant, particularly for vulnerable populations. As Marie-Pierre warned, Haiti is not safe. Gangs control the streets, reminding us of the dire humanitarian stakes for TPS holders facing potential deportation to a profoundly unstable and dangerous homeland. It's a powerful reminder of the real lives at stake.
The comprehensive information our legal team has brought us today paints a clear and compelling picture of competing priorities currently shaping our nation's future. On one side, we see the imperative of economic prosperity, driven by essential labor and cutting-edge innovation, while on the other, there's a strong emphasis on stringent immigration enforcement and national security. So as you reflect on this deep dive, consider for yourself, what balance should the U.S. strike in its immigration policy? And what are the long-term, perhaps irreversible consequences if highly talented individuals and vital labor pools continue to seek opportunities elsewhere, away from American shores? This isn't just about immediate policy decisions or short-term economic fluctuations. It's about the very future shape of the American economy, its fundamental capacity for innovation, and its standing in the global landscape as a leader. What does this deep dive mean for your understanding of America's path forward? Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you gained a lot from this discussion. Once again, we would like to thank attorney Chris Ingram and his team for researching and preparing this material for our presentation today. They are doing an awesome job. Please leave us a comment if you can, as it really means a lot to all the staff. If you'd like to book a free consultation, please visit www.breakthroughusa.com. See you next time on Let's Talk U.S. Immigration. Bye for now.